Hi, I'm Jaywaz, and I am going to show you how to install your docking station. So this is what Yarbo uses to charge. It charges autonomously. When it's running low on battery, it'll come back automatically to its docking station. So you want to make sure you put it in a good spot. I'm going to go through kind of all the things you need to know about it and show you how to install it. So that's what we're going to do today.
One of the first things to do when installing the docking station is to find a suitable location for it. So there's a few important things to look out for. One, you have to have a pretty flat and level surface. So I'll show you that in a little bit. The other thing, you have to have a clear view of the sky, a fairly clear view. It doesn't have to be the full 120 degrees that the data center does, but I would say the more clear, the better. And I'm going to show you an example of where I thought this would work, but it did not. So I'm going to take you over here. I've got my house here. It's a 2-story house. And then my neighbor's house is also a 2-story, at least walkout basement. And that takes up a good portion of the sky, as you can see. And yes, it's all open this way for the most part, except for a tree. But these houses, although my docking station, the instructions say keep it 7 feet away from everything, I could get it 7 feet away. I was planning to put it here. I was thinking it was too close to this, causing issues. So I moved it all the way out here, 7 feet away from everything, more than 7 feet. And I still had it would be good GPS for a good portion of the time and then bad GPS for the other portion of the time. So when you're looking for a suitable location, it's a little unfortunate that you can't really hide it in a cove or in a corner, but currently the way it works is it very heavily relies on the GNSS signals, all the GPS and Galileo and all of those satellite constellations. So it very heavily relies on that. So you need open view of the sky and you can't have a bunch of walls surrounding it. You could probably get away with one wall on one face if the whole rest of it was open. But I have basically 3 walls, 1, 2, 3, all surrounding it. And it did not do okay in that location. So all my nice landscaping that I was doing, I have to redo that. I might even just leave that there for something else. So what I did is I brought it out all the way and made a new pad with some paver blocks, which Yarbo actually helped me haul some things, so that was cool. And it is, you can see, there's just like a corner of my deck that's over there. Otherwise, it's just the tree, and it's pretty much wide open. And that seems to do pretty good. The way you test this, you can actually put Yarbo out where you think is a good spot, fairly level and fairly open to the sky. And then you just watch your app and watch the signal strength. And I will show you how to do that as well. As I said, you really need this to be level. And I'm going to show you kind of the important ways to make it level. So I'll bring you around from side to side. I'll show you here. From side to side, you want it really quite level. So I've got like 0.5 degrees. You can kind of see on the bubble. I don't think this is sitting quite right. Almost within the lines. You need to get it pretty level left to right. They say within 1 degree. For the front to back, you need it. So you can see I've got a bit of a slope. Okay. It's about 1.8 degrees. But if you notice, the docking station is also sloped.
So what you don't want is you don't want to go more in the same direction of the docking station slope. If you do, Yarbo has a hard time climbing up this. It's kind of slippery plastic. It's got a little bit of ridges and stuff to help it, but I found that when it gets really wet or really icy, you don't want more slope this way or it's going to cause problems for Yarbo. So I actually sloped it the opposite way to actually make the slope for Yarbo even less. So it's okay to go this way to even out this kind of wedge shape, but it's not okay to make the wedge steeper. Okay, so less than 1 degree left to right, front to back. You want to keep it less than 1 degree, but if you have to go over 1 degree, you want to make sure it slopes in the right direction to level out Yarbo instead of making it steeper. Yarbo provides a few different things to allow for a few different methods of installing the docking station. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 holes in the docking station, and there you can go straight into grass or dirt, or you could go into cement. I'm going into pavers, which is like cement, but it's a little unique. Let me explain. There's 12 of these grass pegs for the docking station, and you'll see they're about 9 inches long. So 9-inch, they're screws that you can put into the ground, into the earth, if you're going into grass. There's also, they provide expansion bolts, which basically you just drill into cement or concrete or something like that, asphalt, and then they expand to fill the hole that you drill and keeps it pretty secure. For me, I've got pavers, and my pavers, they're only 1.5 inches thick. So an expansion bolt like this is a little bit too long for one. It's a little bit too long, right? So you see, it's going to go way through, and the part that expands will be like partially out of the paver. Not to mention, pavers are not going to be super strong like a full cement slab. And so if I was to expand this in the paver anywhere near an edge or even maybe the center, it could expand and crack the whole paver. So I'm not going to use these, but if you had a cement slab, you definitely should use the expansion bolts. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drill all the way through the paver and get to the dirt, and that's going to allow this peg to go right through and into the dirt. So that's my plan. In order to drill cement or pavers or anything like that, you should have a good hammer drill. Hammer drills basically, they not only spin like a normal drill, but they actually go back and forth like that to kind of dig into the cement and chip out pieces as it drills. So in order to do that, these holes here, they're actually 3/8. So that's why I've got a 3/8 bit right here. Let's see if I can show you. So yeah, so 3/8 bit. This is a special bit made for a hammer drill. So make sure you get the right bits. And then the pegs, these actually are not 3/8. They're a little bit smaller. They're closer to like 1/4. But these screws are not meant to go into cement, so you don't want to ruin the threads by doing that. So I'm going to drill a 3/8 hole so that this won't even touch the paver when it goes through. It'll just go right through into the dirt. For the expansion bolts, if you need those, that takes a 5/16 drill bit. So keep that in mind if you're using those. Okay. I'm gonna put this on and we're gonna drill. First, I'm going to mark all of the hole locations, and then I'm gonna move the docking station because you don't want to drill through with the docking station there, or you might damage the docking station. So let's go ahead and remove that. Okay, another important thing is to make sure you have enough room around your dock, okay? They say 7 feet kind of all around. For the most part, you really only need about a foot in the back because the metal channel sticks out a little bit. And you might have some attachments and things on the back. So if you're going to put attachments on the back of your Yarbo, you might even want a little more than a foot, maybe 2 feet to be safe. But it will back up onto the dock. The problem is when it gets to the dock, it will be facing forward and it stops about right here in front of the dock. And then what it does is it rotates around so that it can back up onto the dock. And what happens is you don't really know which way it's going to rotate. And when it has modules on the front, like the snowblower or even the mower is actually the longest in the front. That mower will swing around and it'll hit anything close by. So you want to make sure, so the dock is about 25.25 by 36 long. So if you take 25.25, we're talking like 12.5 inches from side to center. You really want to go, your Yarbo needs a decent amount of space, about 36 inches from the center to some sort of obstacle. If you measure from the edge, it's more like 24 inches to be safe. I'm cutting it a little close at 23 inches. I've got a little bit of extra room here, but then it'll hit over in the other area over here. So I would recommend like 24 inches from the edge to the nearest thing, 24 inches from the other edge to the nearest thing, and make sure you go out. And remember, Yarbo does a bunch of turns right in here. If Yarbo turns a lot right here, you're going to have, if it's in your lawn, you're going to have just dirt wherever it tears up the grass. So it will tear up the grass by turning and coming to the same place over and over and over again. So that's why most people, what you'll see is they put pavers or concrete or posit or, anything to kind of create a path for Yarbo to take so that it's not tearing up the lawn every time it does that spin in front of its docking station. So that's what I would recommend. I would recommend about probably about 3 feet at least in front of the dock, if not a little bit more. I did about 4 feet, not quite 4 feet, 44 inches. So I left about 24 on each side. This side I have a lot of room, so it doesn't really matter. But I put a little bit of extra just in case it gets off track coming to the center. It's not going to wear out the grass right here. Also, keep in mind when you're snow blowing, the Yarbo will come forward. It will clear the center and it will clear each side. So that's also a good reason to make sure there's some extra room and maybe some extra pavers. So yeah, I've got enough room. I've got it level. So now it's time to mark all the holes. I have to be careful. I don't want to break all the pavers, so I tried to center it on the pavers to try to keep it away from the cracks. And these holes I aligned exactly on the cracks. because I was too close. So we'll see how that goes. So first thing, if you have it in the right location, I've got mine nicely aligned. They do say do not stand on this. It cannot support human foot weight like in a particular area, so don't stand on this or walk on it. Now that I've got it positioned, I'm going to mark each of these holes right in the center. We can remove the docking station. It's pretty heavy. It's hard to get a grip of because it's very slippery. Once you pick it up to the side, you can lift it pretty easily. So we're going to move it over here. Okay, now I've got all my spots marked. This one has a little bit of water. Soak that up. Okay, I can still see the mark. Okay. There. These ones are going to be close to the edge. There is really nothing I could do about that. So I'm going to have to be careful with those ones. If it cracks, it's going to be underneath the docking station, so I'm not too worried about it. I did buy extra pavers just in case if I want to replace them. And these ones, like I said, I put right on the cracks. That'll just widen the crack basically into a hole. Make sure you have eye protection for this one. Usually hammer drills have a couple settings. Just regular drill, or drill and hammer, or just hammer. Usually you want drill and hammer if you're going through concrete or pavers. If this starts cracking things, I'll probably use just the drill. It'll just take longer. Okay, there's one. There's two. Okay. That went pretty good. It didn't crack anything. So I'm going to give a go on this corner here that's right near the edge, both edges, and see what happens if I hammer drill it. I take my time. That moved quite a bit. There's a hard piece of rock right here that it wants to keep moving. So I might have to remeasure that one. I can't see the mark anymore, so I'm going to try this one first. That went pretty good. Nothing cracked, so yeah, hammer drill. Seems like if you take your time, you won't crack the pavers at the edge. And go ahead and do in between these cracks as soon as my dog leaves. Okay, so we're gonna do in between the crack here. See how that goes. Really hard to keep that still. And because of the wetness, I can't see my mark. Let me do this one. Make this mark bigger so I can see it. That worked pretty good. Okay, now these ones where the marks wore off, I'm just going to put the docking station back on. Okay, it's all lined up. I'm just going to remark these. I'm going to make a bigger X or cross on each of these. That way if the bit moves, or as it starts drilling, it actually gets rid of the center point. So if you have the X there, you'll be able to see the lines on the outside. So just make it a little bit longer. Last one. I'm going to go slow because this one's on the corner again. But I'm on the hammer and drill setting. That seems to be working pretty good. So Okay. Broom. You guys want to get a look at the bottom. That's the bottom. Got a wires, got a heat sink here. That's where it's really heavy. Here's you got some, looks like coils. Can't tell. I would think the coil's kind of this whole area right here. So yeah, that's the bottom of it. Line up all the holes. Did a decent job. They should all align. If any of them miss by a little bit, that's why I used a little bit bigger bit. But yeah, they're all aligned. So these take a T40 bit for the top of them. Yarbo did a really good job of providing tools and bits. They provide you with this bit for exactly that purpose. So it's a T40 bit. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure each screw goes in to the hole and fits. Now the reason you screw it down or bolt it down is because Yarbo's pretty heavy and you don't want the docking station moving when Yarbo comes on it or tries to spin to correct itself. It will just move the docking station and then Yarbo won't know where the docking station is, so it'll fail to dock. So we've got all 6 screws. They give you more screws because I'll show you that later. There's some metal pieces that you can install to protect the wire. So I'm just gonna, all these are going in fine. Everything's aligned. So I'm gonna go ahead and screw each of these in. I'm just screwing into dirt, so it's not really hard to do. All right, and now it's not going to move or shift. The 30-foot cable, it plugs in right here. You have to release it with this little tab. Pull out the cap. The cap's attached so you don't lose it. You can hide that underneath. I'll show you. So this just goes in, clicks into place. Okay. And then they provide, in case Yarbo kind of comes off, or the auger comes this way, to protect this cable, Yarbo provides you with this piece of metal. And it slides right over top of it. Now it's a 6-inch piece, but it only sticks out the back about 3.5 inches to this point. So that's why you need a little extra room back here. This metal piece, this is what they provide the extra screws and bolts for. You can drill holes here and here to keep this in place so it's sturdy. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to get this wire around in the springtime. I'm going to wait probably for the springtime when it warms up a little bit. But I'm probably going to do some conduit down under the ground to get over to where I need to. For now, I'm just going to run the cable. I'm going to run it this way. I'll just kind of tuck it down in. Go around. I'm not sure I'm going to screw this in yet. I might just keep it loose until I figure out exactly what I'm doing there. The other thing Yarbo provides is this longer piece. It's just a metal track. And it's about 27 and a quarter. So 27 and a quarter inches. And this is like if it was, say, you were stepping over some area, or here, I'll show you over here. So if I wanted to run this cable, somewhere across where someone would be walking or where it could get damaged, you can just put the cable underneath. So you can just take it and you can put the cable underneath to protect it from any foot traffic or anything like that, if that works for your situation. For me, I'm not going to use this piece right now. I'm going to run the cable kind of down here where people won't hit it. And then in the springtime when it warms up, I'll dig some conduit either down and around, or even conduit running here back underneath the steps. So, because you don't want the wire exposed. Obviously, I wouldn't be able to weed whack here or damage my wire. That's my plan for now. For winter, should be fine. Once your docking station is in place and secured, you're going to back your Yarbo up using the remote control. You can use the game controller or the phone app. So I'm just going to use the phone app. I'm going to back it up real slow. And you can see these yellow lines on each side, these little dash marks. Use those to help guide you. Basically, you want to barely see those yellow lines. From an angle, you can see the lines. From the back, the lines are pretty much covered. So make sure you're kind of straight. Rotate it a little bit if you need to. And then the other important thing is, if you see this caution right there, that line, this little line right here, basically lines up with the back of your robot. Get it pretty much aligned. Once it's aligned, you can test by hitting basically the battery charge button over here.
Ready to charge. Start charging.
And then it says start charging once it's charging. So if it can't charge, it means you don't have it positioned correctly and you need to move it a little bit to align with the lines on the side and the line in the back as I showed you.
Now, let me show you how best to test your GPS signal to make sure that your Yarbo core has the proper communication to the satellites in the sky. The easiest way is basically on your home page here. You can see there's this GPS icon over on the right side. This GPS icon will light up green when you have a strong signal. And so the best thing to do is basically check this signal throughout the day. You
have to keep in mind that the satellites in the sky are always moving. The Earth is moving. So this GPS signal can change throughout the day. So the best thing to do is just put your core in the location you think you want to put your docking station. And throughout the day, open your app, give it a few seconds to load. Sometimes it can take a little bit longer, up to 20 seconds or so. If you have Bluetooth on and you're like right at the edge of the range of Bluetooth, it takes even longer. So you might even want to just turn Bluetooth off while you're doing this test throughout the day. But I would say check in, every half hour, every hour, just throughout the day, and check that GPS icon is green. Again, always green. When you load the app fresh each time, it might start with it being kind of grayed out, disabled. And then once it gets connection, it loads. And it's when it gets connection and goes green, if you see it go from green to something else after that, that's usually when you have an issue and you're going to have to pick a different spot. It can sometimes change to orange. It can change back to the disabled state. But if it stays green every time you look at it throughout the day, then you're good to go.
Once it's in place, you can actually install your docking station. So what we do is we go to settings. If you've already set it up once, you'll have to reinstall the docking station here. Remember, if you reinstall the docking station, it clears all your pathways from the docking station to the work areas, but it will not clear your work areas. So that's cool. So we select an installation location. It says basically what I told you before, make sure there's nothing around it. It says make sure GPS is consistently strong for 3 seconds. Like I said, you want to wait a lot longer. You want to watch it throughout the day because satellites move and that will change. So I can hit start. Here it also shows you the strength of the signal. I recommend using the other things that I showed you because sitting on this screen for a long time isn't as easy. Especially if your app restarts, you'll go right back to the beginning. So it says we're good to go here. It says my signal's strong, although it's using Bluetooth, but we already checked the data center connection. So I can click here it is. And then installation and energization of the fixed docking station, step 2. So it says place the docking station firmly on the back of the Yarbo. That's a translation error. It should actually say place it in back of the Yarbo, like behind Yarbo would be even better. I put Yarbo right on the docking station because you don't actually have to put the docking station behind it. Once it's in position, you're good to go. We've already installed it, so see how it shows you to put your docking station behind it, but it doesn't actually need to do that. Instead, you can just go to the next step. It says drive Yarbo backwards onto the docking station to save the position. So that's why I just have it on there already. I can just click save position right away. It's all lit up in yellow. If it's not in the right position, you also wouldn't have been able to charge. This save position will be grayed out. If it's yellow, you're good to go. You save the position. And it says, congratulations, you have completed all the preparatory work. So finished. And now I can look on my map and you'll see Yarbo is exactly aligned with the docking station, which is perfect. So now I can start adding maps. I can start adding pathways to those working area maps. So yeah, I'm good to go for the docking station for now. If you have your Smart Assist module, you can actually test it pretty quickly to see if the docking station works well. You just add your plan. It's going to tell you to get things out of the way.
You want to make sure Bluetooth's on. I'd recommend Wi-Fi off if you don't have a good home Wi-Fi connection to where you are. Use Bluetooth and just stay close to it because Bluetooth's range isn't as great. So you click start and it'll automatically move. So be careful of that. And then pathway needs to connect the start point to the working area or two separate areas. Say okay. So I don't have any areas right now. So I'll just run it straight forward. I'll hit next. It says the area needs to be connected to the pathway you draw. Say okay. So now I'm going to create just a quick area to test this out. So I'm going to go forward, going to go in a little bit of a loop. See if you can see that. Then when you get close, you just hit next. My dog checking it out. He does pretty good with it. He actually doesn't mind it. You can say you're finished for now. Okay. So I'm just going to test this docking station. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to go to the controller. And on the controller, there's a recharge button. And this will only work if you're in an area or a pathway that it knows about. So right now it's kind of on a pathway. If I wanted to, I could move it so it's not going to have to turn around just for testing. So we'll face it this way. Now just click recharge. I'll show you where it is on the map. Okay, so it's just in the middle of the area. As you can see, I'm going to go to the controller and click recharge. We are now ready to go back to the original point. Shall we continue? Hit check. And then watch as it finds the pathway. When it finds the pathway, it's going to head straight down it. Like I said, it turns right in front of it. And if it slips like it did, it's going to be off. So then it's going to correct itself. And try again. And it's still a little bit off. So it figures that out. It corrects itself. And then tries again. So now it's correcting itself just a little bit the other way. Feels good about that, so it keeps going back.
Ready to charge.
And then it charges.